Title: The Whispering Shadow. The small town of Ravenhill was one of those quiet, forgotten places where the trees loomed like ancient sentinels and secrets lay buried in the ground. Every year, as the nights grew longer and the air colder, locals whispered of the Mothman, a creature said to appear before tragedy struck. A legend, for sure, but many children in Ravenhill learned early not to take chances with things that lurked in the dark. It was October, when Halloween decorations dotted every doorstep and the clouds seemed to loom heavier over the town. A group of 4 friends, Sarah, Ben, Lydia, and Jake, decided that this year, they would push the boundaries of their bravery. They made a pact to visit Cedar Hollow, a dense forest that framed the outskirts of town, and there, they would summon the Mothman. "I heard he's attracted to fear," Lydia said, her voice barely above a whisper as they gathered in Jake's garage, plotting their adventure. They laughed off the chill that crawled up their spines, fueled by adrenaline and the promise of something terrifying. "We'll just bring flashlights," Ben said, his bravado spilling over into a grin and a camera. "We'll capture it." That Halloween night, they donned costumes: a witch, a vampire, a ghost, and Jake, the oldest, as a rugged lumberjack. They mischievously slipped out just past midnight, fueled by the eerie, cracked moonlight that illuminated their path. Their laughter echoed through the stillness of the haunted night, but as they stepped into Cedar Hollow, something shifted. The woods felt alive, crackling with tension. As they walked deeper, the trees closed in around them, their branches like gnarled hands reaching out in the darkness. With each crunch of twigs beneath their feet, a sense of foreboding settled over the group. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling as they reached a clearing. The wind whispered through the trees, and she instinctively peered over her shoulder. "It's just a story, Sarah," Jake assured her, though even he felt the prickle of unease crawling up his spine. They gathered in the clearing, their breaths visible in the cold air. The friends formed a circle, hands interlocked, hearts racing. Jake suggested they call out, inviting the Mothman to reveal himself. "Mothman, come to us," he yelled, attempting to play the part of the bravest friend. The moment those words left his lips, an unnatural silence enveloped the clearing, filling the air with a weight that pressed against their chests. From the darkened woods, a fluttering sound emerged, soft, nearly imperceptible at first, but steadily growing into a haunting chorus of wings. A shadow swept overhead, silent but swift. Their flashlight beams flickered shakily as they turned, catching a brief glimpse of something monstrous. Huge wings, wider than any bird's, swirled in the air, a mystical silhouette against the inky blackness. "What was that?" Lydia gasped, her eyes wide with terror. "It's just the wind," Jake stammered, though doubt hung heavy in his voice. Shadows danced along the edges of their flashlights, draping them in a cloak of fear. Then they heard it, a low, eerie hum, echoing through the trees like a distant warning. It swelled and faded, a song beckoning them deeper into the woods. The group turned to leave, but Lydia, entranced, stepped forward. "Wait, I want to see it," she called out, voice trembling with a childlike curiosity. But as they reached for her, she suddenly went still, her gaze fixed on something beyond the darkness. "Lydia, don't," Ben yelled, but the warning came too late. The atmosphere grew thick, the hum intensifying. Shadows gathered, swirling like storm clouds, and with a flash, the Mothman descended, massive, eyes like glowing embers locked onto Lydia. In that moment, everything unraveled. The forest erupted into chaos. Jake stumbled back, a cry lodged in his throat, as the creature launched itself towards them. Time slowed as its massive wings unfurled, shadows swallowing the light around them. A whispered chant emanated from the depths of the forest, calling and coaxing. "Run!" screamed Sarah, and they fled as the creature swooped past them, trailing darkness in its wake. The echo of its hum morphed into screams, their own voices lost in the cacophony of fear. They burst from Cedar Hollow, gasping for breath, hearts pounding like wild deer. Behind them, a rustle of wings followed, echoing their panic as they sprinted through the town streets, longing for the safety of home. Once they reached Jake's garage, breathless and wide-eyed, they locked the door behind them, collapsing against the cold walls. The night felt different now, charged with the power of their encounter, and uncertainty loomed heavy in the air. As dawn broke, the chilling whispers faded into the morning fog. They would tell this story for years, but one thing was certain: the Mothman was no longer just a story. He was a real, lurking threat in the shadows of their small town, waiting, watching, whispering. And as the sun cast warmth over Ravenhill, they swore they could still hear his hum, a warning faint yet persistent, echoing in their hearts as they vowed never to speak of it again. But in every gust of wind, they could feel him, the whispering shadow, forever lingering just beyond the trees.